Welcome to a special presentation by Numbering the Days channel. This is a special episode for week 3 on the Passion Week, where we are going to compare all the events of this week, day by day, with Scripture, comparing the calendars that were in use and some key information that you need to know, or I needed to know when I first started studying the calendars out. I had a real hard time understanding how to make sense of everything in the Gospels and how to put it onto the calendar and have it be equal to the sign of Jonah, the 3 days and 3 nights, the one sign that Messiah said he was going to give to the wicked generation, that they were going to get the sign of Jonah, that he was going to be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. So I'm going to compare the information on the calendar we keep, the calendar of creation found in Enoch, Jubilees, kept by the Zadok priests and in the Dead Sea Scrolls, to the Jewish lunar calendar. So there's some foundational key points I'm going to cover first. I'm going to mention that these are key things, if you've not studied this before, that you need to learn. And I'll put some recommendations in the description for this video, and you can email us for information, ask questions in the comments. This is a chart and a teaching that I wish I would have gotten years ago. So here we go. There were 2 calendars in use during the Holy Week. There is the ancient biblical calendar of Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and the First Temple. And then there was the lunar calendar in use in the Second Temple. It was a Babylonian Greek lunar calendar. So there are 2 calendars in use when you read the scriptures. A key scripture to note is Ezekiel 44:15. where it says, "But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer the fat and the blood, saith Yeshua Elohim." So these sons of Zadok still existed in the time of Messiah. It's still being observed. This calendar is still being observed by the Levitical line of priests in Bethabara, which is called Qumran today. And these people and their families and the homes where they lived throughout the land still kept the ancient calendar. And you'll notice in this presentation that I've color-coded things, and there's a PDF. This PDF is available for you to download in the description if you'd like to study it yourself. So there are people in the land who are keeping this calendar, and we know that the Pharisees, Sadducees, and the Jews are keeping the Jewish lunar calendar. Now this location called Bethabara is in Scripture in John 1:28. It reads, "These things were done in Bethabara, beyond the Jordan, where John was baptizing." So Qumran is a modern name given to this location by the Muslims, and I'm using Bethabara. It's in some of the ancient maps. That was the name of it. So that's where I'm getting that from. The Dead Sea Scrolls were found at Bethabara or Qumran, and it has lots of historical records about the sons of light that used this calendar and the sons of darkness who used the lunar calendar. If you haven't read the Dead Sea Scrolls or studied them, you definitely need to learn all about that. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, the priests wrote about themselves as being the original priests who had to leave the Second Temple when the politics took control of the temple in Jerusalem and forced a calendar change and forced them out. So they came down there and with treasures from the temple and the books down there, and kept observing the ancient calendar. So on the ancient biblical calendar, the day starts at sunrise, and this is key to understanding what's going on during the Holy Week. And on the lunar calendar, the day starts at sundown. And continuing we're still in the key topics you've got to understand. So on the ancient calendar, the Moedim feasts are on fixed days every year, the same day of the week, and the Moedim feasts never happen on the weekly seventh-day Sabbath. And the feasts can fall on different days when you compare it to the Jewish lunar calendar. Because on the Jewish lunar calendar, the feasts occur on different days of the week, and sometimes they even occur on the seventh-day Sabbath and overlap with it. You could have a Feast of Unleavened Bread on a Saturday Sabbath, but that will never happen on the ancient biblical calendar. The next item on the chart is the weekly seventh-day Sabbath. I'm going to use modern Gregorian terms in this presentation. That's the green column in the middle. On the ancient calendar, the creation calendar, a day starts at sunrise and it goes to the dawn of the next day on Sunday. On the Jewish lunar calendar, a weekly seventh-day Sabbath starts at Friday evening at sundown and it goes until Saturday, through the day Saturday until sundown on Saturday. So when you're reading the scriptures about the Passion Week, you have to understand that some people's Sabbath was different at different times than other people's Sabbath that they were keeping. Yeshua, or Jesus, he and his disciples and others were followers of the way. They were followers of the ancient path that we're supposed to ask for. They were followers of the faith once delivered to the saints that Jude said you must contend for. The Jewish religious authorities, the Pharisees and Sadducees and the Jews and all the merchants and commerce was under their Jewish lunar religious calendar. So two things are happening at the same time, and this is just a crucial understanding. These foundational things you must understand when you read through the scriptures of Passion Week. Okay, so now we're going to go into the actual day-by-day of events. And I'm going to start on Monday of that week. Remember, I'm going to be using the Gregorian day names, and some of the tracking is going to be here in the middle of the week. In the middle of the screen, I'm sorry. Okay, so Matthew 26:17. The timing could be here on Monday because when I read into the Peshitta, the Aramaic says time was moving towards the beginning of the feast. It could either be happening on Monday or Matthew 26:17 timing could be here on Tuesday morning. The way the language works, it's hard to say. So I'm just going to be totally honest with a few things, well, with everything, but on some of the things I'm just uncertain of exactly. So here in the biblical calendar, Monday could have been the day that considered the day of preparation, because Tuesday, this would be the 13th. Tuesday is down here is the Passover day. So this would be the day of preparation, when Messiah told his disciples to go find a man with the water pitcher and use his upper room. The scriptures for this day are down below. Matthew 26:18 through 19 reads, "And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The Master saith, My time is at hand, I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover." Mark 14, verses 13 through 14, and verse 16. "And he sendeth forth two of his disciples, and saith unto them, Go ye into the city, and there shall you meet a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him. And wheresoever he go in, say ye to the goodman of the house, The Master saith, Where is the guest chamber? Where shall I eat the Passover with my disciples? And the disciples went forth and came into the city, and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover." Now to Luke chapter 22, verses 8 and 11 through 13. And he said to Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. And ye shall say unto the goodman of the house, The master saith unto thee, Where is the guest chamber? Where shall I eat the Passover with my disciples? And they went, and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. And lastly, Luke 22:15. And he said unto them, With desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. So clearly, in these verses, in the Gospels, Yeshua and his disciples are going to eat a Passover meal. It's not a Last Supper or some special dinner. It is the Passover. It says it in 3 of these Gospels here. And Monday would be the day of preparation on the calendar they're keeping. And it would, Monday or Tuesday, again, is where Matthew has got this stuff happening. So by Tuesday morning, they're preparing a Passover because Tuesday night on this calendar is the Passover. And Yahushua in 22 is clearly saying that I'm going to eat a Passover with you. And all these things, I've underlined it and put it in bold. It's clearly going to be a Passover meal. So Tuesday night on the creation calendar, he's eating a Pesach. He's betrayed in the garden. He's arrested, beaten, and convicted. For the Jews, on their lunar calendar, they are starting their preparation day. It starts here at sundown. This is why they were so concerned that they couldn't go into certain places during the events that took place because they would get defiled and they couldn't eat the Passover, because on their lunar calendar, their preparation day had started. Okay, so in my study, this is the place where I had to learn to shift my attention as to whose Passover was being talked about. At this point on the creation calendar, the Messiah and his disciples have eaten Passover, while the people that are following the lunar calendar have not eaten their Passover yet. So they are in preparation time now, and this is just crucial for understanding what's going on. In John 13:1, it reads, Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. I think that this is referring to the Jews' Passover that's coming. He's finished his, and all that John writes about in the rest of chapter 13 that takes place is the foot washing. So that's where I place that John is talking about now before the feast of the Passover of the Jews, when Jesus knew that his time was going to come to depart. That's how I read that verse. John 18:28 reads, Then led they Jesus from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment, and it was early. We don't know if it was early in the evening or early in the morning, but it just says it was early. And they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. You notice that I color code everything. So they haven't eaten their Passover yet. Messiah's had his Passover. John 18:39, But ye have a custom that I should release unto you one at the Passover. Will ye therefore that I release unto you the King of the Jews? So I think that those Passovers are referring to the Jews' Passover. Okay, we come to Wednesday morning now. On the ancient biblical creation calendar, it is now the 15th day of the month. It's the high Sabbath of unleavened bread, day 1. And for the Jews, it's the 13th day, still in the morning for them, and it's going to turn into the 14th at evening. And they must be finished with their preparation by sundown. So early Tuesday, in the wee hours of darkness of Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning at some time, because there's no times given to pin some of this stuff down. The Messiah is beaten by the Romans. Pilate finds him not guilty. The crowds do not choose him, and he's sentenced to be crucified. He's mocked by the spectators. The Romans are beating him and gambling for his clothes. So all this is going on. And I wanted you to see something here between Mark and John. Mark 15:25 reads, "And it was the third hour, and they crucified him." And John, down here in 19:14, says, "And he was the eyewitness, and it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour. And he said unto the Jews, Behold your king." Now John was one of the apostles, who was physically present at his crucifixion, and he has it coming approximately 3 hours after Mark. So we know what happened on Wednesday morning. We know that between the 6th and the 9th hour of the day, that all these verses apply, and he was suffering. And the priests were killing the lambs at the temple, and darkness filled the land. Now that's all scriptural, and you can, study this out for yourself. This is the best that I can do with the information that we have. Okay. After 3 p.m. on Wednesday, we've got all these verses here, and he's saying it is finished. He dies. We have an earthquake, and the veil is torn. His side is pricked with the blood, and the water flows out. And I wanted to point out John 19:31. The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was a high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. Now, the Jews were concerned that the bodies would be remaining there into the Jews' day one of unleavened bread, which is a high Sabbath day. This is in the right-hand column. As you can see down here comes their high Sabbath day. So since they wouldn't be taking the bodies off the crosses during a Passover evening, and they wouldn't be allowed to do it during the high Sabbath, so that's why they wanted to get the bodies off the cross before sundown. Okay, so we know that Wednesday night, here we are at Wednesday night, his body is placed in the tomb at sundown. So this then becomes night number 1 on the creation calendar of the 3 days and 3 nights. This is the 15th day for the creation calendar. So then we come to Thursday morning, which then becomes the 16th day on this calendar, the day number 2 of unleavened bread. I place Mark 16:1 could apply here, or it could apply down below. It's hard to discern exactly on a couple of these verses. Mark 16:1 reads, "And when the Sabbath, their high Sabbath day 15 was past, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome had brought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him." So I've got a couple places where Mark 16:1 could be up here, or Mark 16:1 could apply down here. We'll get to it in just a moment. I personally believe that right here on Thursday morning is the time that the woman could purchase spices in the city. It is not a high Sabbath day for them, nor is it for the Jews in the city. They had Passover at night, and now we're talking about the morning to the Jews and to the city and to the merchants. It's the morning of the 14th on Thursday morning. So I think this is when they went and got the spices. Now we're into day 1. This is now day 1 of him being in the tomb. We had night 1 Wednesday night. Now we're on Thursday day. Okay, Thursday night becomes the the 15th day on the lunar calendar, the high Sabbath of unleavened bread starts for the Jews. It starts at sundown, so the stores would be closed. This is night number 2 in the tomb. On Friday morning, the Jews are still having a high Sabbath. It would end at sundown, so all the stores are still closed. And we're into now Friday morning, and now we're into the day number 2 in the tomb. This is now the 17th day on the creation calendar. Unleavened bread, day number 3. It's a high Sabbath in Jerusalem, so I don't think the women they can't go to the tomb. Some people apply Mark 16:1 here, and they think that they were able to get spices on Friday night. When I was thinking about this, I thought, however, if they're still closing the gates of Jerusalem at sundown for a 7th-day Sabbath, then this is really not an option, because this is Friday night, and this is when the Jews start their Sabbath. Remember, they start their Sabbaths on Friday night through Saturday day. But this is now night number 3 of the 3 days and 3 nights. Sign of Jonah. So now we come to Saturday morning. This is the weekly 7th-day Sabbath. It's day number 3. It's the 18th day on the creation calendar and the 4th day of unleavened bread. So during the day, he would have completed the sign of Jonah, a complete 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb as he said he was. So many of us believe that he is resurrected on the Sabbath, because once the sun goes down, the Sabbath ends here. The Sabbath doesn't end on the ancient calendar until the beginning of Sunday morning. So if he came out of that tomb at sundown, it's still the Sabbath on the ancient calendar. This calendar's new week starts in the evening here at sundown. You see why we have these columns going, and it was good to know this, because their first day of the week starts at sundown here on Saturday night. So now we're going to go into the first day of the week discussion. So in Matthew 28:1, it says, "In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn, toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre." So we know that as it begins to dawn, it's talking about sunrise and not a sunset, as it would be over here. John 20 verse 1, "The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth a stone taken away from the sepulchre." So she's coming the first day of the week when it was yet dark. So when you have the first break of daylight, it is still dark outside. There's only a little bit of sunlight showing on one side of the sky, and the sun's not even peaked up over the horizon. So that's what John is referring to. Mark 16:1 says, "And when the Sabbath was past," now the Sabbath is not passed on the ancient biblical calendar until we get to Sunday morning at dawn. So when the Sabbath was past, when the first light comes, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. Luke 24:1, "Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning," none of these verses are talking about a sundown situation. "Very early in the morning they came unto the sepulchre, bringing the spices they had prepared, and certain others with them." Okay, which puts us clearly at the first day of the week, which starts at sunrise on this ancient biblical calendar, on the 17th day of 17th day of the calendar, the 5th day of unleavened bread. On a Sunday morning, the angel rolls away the stone, and the story continues as people discover he is risen. This is the first time at dawn that anyone would have been able to even be allowed to go see the tomb, because they're not going to see him on the Sabbath day, and that Sabbath day goes and stays all night long on the ancient calendar. So here on Sunday morning, he's risen. That's when they discover he's risen. And this calendar, remember, started a new day Saturday evening. So it can't be the same day as John writes below. Okay, John is writing below the same day in John 20, verse 19. It says, "Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut, where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, came Jesus and stood in the midst, and saith unto him, Peace be unto you." So this is truly, I want you to really get this. The same day at evening, being the first day of the week. The only time that it's the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, is on this calendar. It can't be on a lunar-based calendar that John could have written this, and it logically holds. So on Sunday night, the risen Messiah appears to his disciples in the locked room, being the first day of the week. So, I hope you subscribe to our channel and that you've enjoyed this teaching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or feel free to email us. We'll be glad to converse with you there. We have a weekly episode where we review all the events of Scripture through time on this ancient calendar, and it provides insights into events, and it helps improve your understanding of Scripture, just like this little exercise hopefully helped you. It really helped me when I did it the first time. We happen to create and sell calendar boards, and the ancient style that the priests used to keep this ancient calendar on, we created a modern version, and you can see those on our YouTube channel. Please check those out. And I hope this study has helped you. Yah bless.